The tires of the cab hissed against the slick pavement as we rolled away from the heart of the city. Rain clung to the windows like smudged fingerprints, distorting the neon lights outside into bleeding rivers of color. Sitting next to me in stiff silence was Amanda, her hands tense, fiddling with the zipper on her purse like she was trying to rip it open with pure frustration. She hadn't said a single word since we left Brandon's party. Not even a half-hearted laugh at someone's bad outfit. Nothing. The silence was loud, like being underwater and hearing a scream you can't escape. Somewhere outside, a siren howled and disappeared into the night, but Amanda didn't so much as blink. The driver gave me a quick glance in the rearview mirror. It was only for a second, but it felt like he could sense the storm brewing in that cab. I shifted in my seat, suddenly feeling like I couldn't breathe. Whatever Amanda wasn't saying, it was pressing down on me like a 100-pound weight on my chest. At a red light, she adjusted her coat, and something small and solid slipped out of her pocket and landed with a light tap on the leather seat. I caught it, just barely. Before I could lean over to check it out, Amanda dove for it, snatching it up like a hawk snatching prey. Her fingers were shaking. Mine were itching to say something, but the words got stuck. What would I even say? My brain was already connecting the dots I'd been too blind, or maybe too scared, to see until now. The late nights at work. The new password on her phone. The unfamiliar scent of cologne that wasn't mine. I'd ignored it all, because denial? It's one hell of a sedative. When we pulled up in front of our apartment building, Amanda got out fast, heels clacking across the sidewalk like gunshots. I paid the cab driver, muttered a quick thanks, and followed her inside. The moment the front door clicked shut behind me, she disappeared into the bathroom. No explanation, no eye contact, just the soft click of the lock sliding into place. I stood there in the hallway, the dark pressing in on me. My heart was pounding in my chest, threatening to either explode or shatter. I spotted her jacket tossed carelessly over the back of a kitchen chair, so casual it almost felt like a challenge. I hesitated. Just for a moment. Then I reached in. The first thing my fingers found was a crumpled napkin. The second? Something much worse. A hotel receipt, still damp, probably from my own sweat now. I unfolded it under the hallway light. The words hit like a punch to the throat. Meridian Hotel. Check-in time, 8:43 p.m. 2 guests, Amanda L. and Ryan C. Ryan Carter. That smug piece of work from her office. The same guy who always made a show of flirting with her in team chats. The same guy she once joked about being her work husband. I had laughed. Thought it was harmless. God, I was a fool. My skin went ice cold. The floor tilted under me. I could still hear the sink running in the bathroom. Not the shower, just the sink, like she needed a minute to herself. Like she was trying to wash away what she'd done. I stared at the receipt, feeling every truth I'd built my life on unravel, 1 inch at a time. I should have busted in there and demanded the truth. Instead, I just stood there. Shaking. Frozen. Letting it sink in, second by second. Then the sink went quiet. The bathroom door creaked open. Amanda walked out, humming some tune like she hadn't just lit our marriage on fire. Her face was clean, makeup gone, hair wrapped up like she was ready for bed. She was wearing that old faded t-shirt she always wore to sleep, the one with the college logo that had long since cracked and peeled away. It was like she thought scrubbing her face clean could scrub away what she'd done. She looked at me, smiled like nothing had happened, and asked, "You coming to bed?" Just like that. Like the past few hours hadn't existed. Like she wasn't wearing betrayal like cheap perfume. I couldn't answer. I just looked at her, this stranger in my wife's body. Amanda tilted her head, her eyes narrowing just slightly. I saw it. That moment when she realized something wasn't right. That her usual routine, the fake smile, the quick kiss, wasn't going to cut it this time. I took a step forward, my hand clenched around the receipt so hard the paper tore. Her eyes followed the movement, locked onto it, and for the first time that night, something cracked in her mask. It wasn't guilt. Not fear either. It was irritation. "What's that?" she asked, like I was the one poking around where I didn't belong. I held the paper up between 2 fingers, the tremble in my hand impossible to hide. "You tell me." Silence dropped between us, heavy and suffocating. Amanda crossed her arms, one hip cocked, her whole posture sliding into defensive mode. Why are you digging through my stuff? She snapped. That's what she led with. Not a sorry. Not even a half-hearted lie. Just full-on victim mode. Like I was the problem. I let out this broken, bitter laugh. The kind that barely made it out of your throat. Are you serious right now? I asked. That's your angle? I find a hotel receipt with your name and Ryan's on it, and you're mad that I found it. She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her damn eyes. It's not what you think, she said in that annoyingly calm voice she always used when she was trying to act like she was the only adult in the room. It was for work. A client needed something signed urgently. We didn't have time to. In a hotel room? I cut in, stepping closer. Amanda shrugged, like the whole thing was just some annoying inconvenience I was blowing out of proportion. There weren't any available conference rooms. It was just easier, she said. Waving her hand like that made it perfectly reasonable to book a private hotel room with her coworker at nearly 9 o'clock at night. I couldn't even get a response out. My throat was so tight it felt like someone had cinched a rope around it. She stood there, like this was just another Tuesday night, like she wasn't dragging the sharp edge of betrayal straight through my spine. She watched me, eyes flickering, like she was trying to gauge how much I'd figured out. My fists were clenched, jaw tight. I must have looked like a man standing on the edge of something, and I think she saw that, because the fake little smile faded. What? She asked, playing dumb with the enthusiasm of a bad actress in a low-budget drama. I didn't speak. I just walked past her, slow and heavy, and dropped the ripped hotel receipt onto the kitchen counter. It landed with the faintest sound, but in that dead silence between us, it might as well have been a gunshot. She looked at it. Saw it. Knew exactly what it meant. And still, she rolled her eyes again. Oh, for God's sake, Nathan, she snapped, folding her arms tighter like I was wasting her time. It's not what you think. Not what I think. The oldest, most overused excuse in the damn book. I laughed again, but it wasn't a laugh. It was just pain that made noise. You were at the hotel, I said quietly, trying to keep my voice steady. With Ryan. And you're gonna stand there and pretend it's not what I think. She gave me this annoyed little shrug, like I was making it weird. It's complicated, she mumbled, turning away from me like she was already done with the conversation. I followed her with my eyes as she flopped down on the couch like a teenager who got grounded for staying out late. She threw her arms across the backrest and sighed dramatically. We were just talking, she said. I didn't feel like coming home yet. Ryan's easy to talk to. That's all. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Talking. At a hotel. At nearly 9 at night. With a reservation for 2. She must have thought I was a complete idiot. You expect me to believe you booked a damn hotel room to talk? I asked, my voice rising despite my best effort to keep it level. Amanda tilted her head and started picking at her nails, like I wasn't even worth eye contact. You've been so intense lately, Nate. Always checking up on me, asking where I am, who I'm with. It's exhausting, she said. And there it was, the twist. The knife right between the ribs. Somehow this was my fault now. My chest tightened. I felt something deep inside me break. Not just crack, but snap clean in two. This part of me, the one that had still been hoping she'd say sorry, that she'd look me in the eye and own it, that part died right there in that living room. You cheated, I said, barely above a whisper. Just say it. Be an adult for once in your life and say it. Amanda laughed. It was sharp mean. It had nothing behind it but cruelty. Cheated, she sneered. Please. Get over yourself. You're not exactly a thrill ride, Nate. You're boring. She spat the word like it was poison. You never want to do anything new. Ryan makes me feel alive. Alive. That word did more damage than anything else she'd said all night. Alive. Like I'd been sucking the life out of her just by being there. Just by loving her. My knees buckled. I staggered back and hit the edge of the counter. The breath rushed out of me in a sharp, helpless exhale. She didn't come over to me. Didn't reach out. Just sat there, arms folded, watching me fall apart like it was mildly inconvenient. That's when I realized I wasn't looking at my wife anymore. I was looking at someone I didn't recognize at all. A stranger who wore her face but none of the heart I thought was underneath. I don't even remember walking to the bedroom. My body went on autopilot. My brain was stuck in some loop of her words, repeating over and over again. You're boring. He makes me feel alive. I grabbed our overnight bag from the closet. The same one we used on that weekend trip to Asheville last fall, when I still believed she loved me. I started packing, stuffing clothes in without thinking. I heard her behind me. Slow footsteps padding down the hall. She leaned against the bedroom doorway, arms crossed again, and watched me like I was putting on some show for her amusement. What, you're just gonna leave, she said, one eyebrow raised like this was some sitcom spat that would blow over by morning. I didn't say anything. Just shoved a t-shirt into the bag a little too hard. Real mature, Nate, she added. Acting like you're the victim here. I zipped the bag shut. The sound was loud in the dead quiet of the room. You know what? She said, stepping inside now. Maybe if you actually listened to me once in a while, we wouldn't be here. Maybe if you didn't get so damn comfortable all the time. I turned and looked her dead in the face. And for the first time, I really saw her. Not the woman I married. Not even the woman I thought I knew. Just this cold, angry version of her that felt like she'd been waiting for years to throw all this at me. You could have talked to me, I said. You could have told me something wasn't right. You didn't have to. I couldn't finish. The words were stuck behind the knot in my throat. Amanda shrugged again, not even pretending to care. Talking's boring, she said, her voice sharp and brittle. Ryan gets it. He knows how to have fun. You? You just want everything to be tidy and safe and whatever. My vision blurred. My pulse was roaring in my ears. The rage and heartbreak were crashing into each other inside me like two freight trains. Is that why you let him sleep you in a hotel room? I asked, my voice barely above a growl. For just a second, just one, her face faltered. A flicker of something. Regret, maybe. Or guilt. But then she smiled. Wide. Sharp. Cruel. What can I say? She whispered. He's better than you. And just like that, she pulled the trigger. I just stood there for a moment, still holding the packed bag. My fists were clenched around the straps so tight my knuckles had gone white, but I couldn't move. Not yet. I'd come into the office to grab my laptop charger, but now I found myself stuck, just standing in the middle of the room like a statue. My legs wouldn't move. My brain was spinning. What do you do when the person you've built your whole life with suddenly feels like a stranger? Like a liar wrapped in the skin of someone you once trusted with everything? I sat down at the edge of the desk, head in my hands, trying to breathe through it. The fight, the hotel receipt, the way she looked at me like I was the one who'd done something wrong, it was all swirling in my chest like a storm I couldn't stop. I must have stayed there a few minutes. No more than 5. When I finally grabbed my charger and stepped out into the hallway again, the apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Amanda. I called, even though I already knew. Nothing. I checked the bedroom. Empty. The living room. No one. Her keys were gone from the hook by the door. So was her coat. She'd left. Just like that. No goodbye. No let's talk. No apology. She walked out while I was sitting there trying to decide whether I still loved her. I stood in the doorway for a moment, bag on my shoulder, phone in my hand. Then I headed down to the garage, where the air was thick with oil and echoing silence. I threw my bag into the back seat of my car and climbed in behind the wheel. I sat there for a second, gripping the steering wheel, trying to pull myself together. I needed to clear my head, drive somewhere, maybe call someone. But something gnawed at me. A gut feeling. The kind that doesn't let go until you rip it wide open and stare at what's inside. I opened the Find My Friends app. The same one we'd set up months ago after she lost her phone at a concert. It had been a joke back then. Now you can stalk me, she'd said, laughing. Yeah. Hilarious. I tapped her name. Her location flashed on the screen, pulsing softly like a warning. The Meridian Hotel. Again. My whole body went still. My heart didn't just drop, it plummeted. She'd gone back. Back to the same damn place from the receipt. Back to the same guy. She didn't even wait a full hour after our fight. She didn't go to a friend's. Didn't sit in the car to cool off. She went straight to him. No hesitation. It wasn't a one-time mistake. It wasn't something she regretted. It was a choice. And she made it fast. I stared at the screen like it might change. Like the blinking blue dot would move somewhere else if I waited long enough. But it didn't. She was there. With him. The rage came slow. Cold. Not the kind that makes you punch a wall. The kind that settles deep, turns your blood to ice, makes every thought sharp and clear. I started the engine. My car roared to life, steady and quiet like it knew exactly where we were going. The hotel was only a few miles away. The road blurred around me, traffic lights, passing cars, empty sidewalks. I couldn't remember a single turn. My mind was somewhere else. Focused. I pulled into the hotel parking lot and turned off the engine. For a moment, I just sat there. My hands resting on the wheel. My breath shallow. My thoughts deadly calm. Then I got out. Walked across the lot. Through the sliding doors. Past the front desk where the tired night clerk barely looked up from her phone. I knew exactly where I was going. The 5th floor. The hallway smelled like bleach and regret. I found room 519 and stopped. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Her laughter. Amanda's. That soft, teasing kind of laugh she used to save just for me. Now it was echoing through a cheap hotel hallway, aimed at someone else. At him. Then I heard Ryan. His voice was lower, smug. Confident in the worst kind of way. I stepped closer, heart slamming inside my chest. They laughed again. Then the sounds changed. Softer. Rhythmic. Familiar. Sounds you never forget once you've heard them behind a closed bedroom door. I almost lost it. My hands were shaking. My pulse felt like a drum in my ears. I could have banged on the door. Screamed her name. Caused a scene. But I didn't. Instead, I did something worse. I pulled out my phone. And hit record. Amanda's voice came through the crack in the door like a knife. "You're so much better than him, baby," she said, giggling. I don't know why I wasted so much time pretending. And Ryan? He didn't even hesitate. He's a joke. He never deserved you. They laughed again. Then came the moaning. The unmistakable sound of my wife giving herself to another man while I stood outside with my whole world burning in my chest. But I didn't move. I made myself stand there and record it. Every single second. So I'd never, ever forget the truth. So I'd never second-guess myself when she tried to twist it later. So I could burn the memory of who she really was into my brain forever. I walked out of that hallway with the recording still running in my pocket. Outside, the sky was pitch black. Not even the stars wanted to see what was happening tonight. I climbed back into my car, closed the door, and hit play. Her voice filled the cabin. Soft. Intimate. Cruel. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just over. It was war. I sat there in the driver's seat, the engine off, the cabin dark except for the dim glow of the dashboard. Her voice echoed through the speakers, soft and venomous. "You're so much better than him, baby." Over and over again. Like a knife being dragged slowly across my skin. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. The hurt had gone quiet. All that was left was this razor-sharp clarity. This knowing. Amanda wasn't coming back. Not really. And even if she did, the woman I married had died somewhere between that hotel room and our kitchen. What was left? A mask. A manipulator. And I was done being her fool. The rage that built inside me wasn't loud. It didn't want to destroy furniture or punch through walls. No, this kind of anger was quieter. Smarter. Focused. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to ruin her. But not the way she expected. Not with petty insults or a dramatic confrontation. I was going to take the one thing she truly cared about, her image. Amanda lived for appearances. She curated her life like a brand. The perfect wife. The golden girl at work. The sweet, relatable professional who had it all figured out. She needed that more than she ever needed me. So I was going to burn it. Brick by damn brick. I pulled my laptop from the back seat, connected to my phone's hotspot, and got to work. The night air outside was cold, but inside that car, it felt like a war room. I moved with precision, like I'd been training for this moment. First stop. Our shared cloud account. Amanda never thought I'd go digging through our old photo backups and shared folders. She was wrong. There were dozens of photos. Her and Ryan at work events that looked suspiciously like dates. Group shots where they were always just a little too close. Selfies of her in the mirror with captions like, "Guess who's coming over tonight?" Photos she clearly never meant to share, but that got backed up automatically months ago. Then I found the texts. She never deleted anything. Probably thought I was too clueless to go looking. She'd underestimated me one too many times. The messages were everything I needed. Flirty, explicit, and cruel. Amanda telling him she loved him. Telling him I was safe but boring. Saying how she couldn't stand the way I hovered. How she laughed at the way I tried to please her. It was like being gutted, but I kept going. Because now I had purpose. By 4 a.m., I had an airtight digital folder. Screenshots, receipts, timestamps, photos. The recording from outside the hotel room. All of it. I sent 3 emails. First, to her boss, Mark Reynolds. The guy she always gushed about impressing at work parties. The guy she once drunkenly told me held the keys to her promotion. Subject, thought you should know. Attached, just enough. A cropped photo of her and Ryan at the hotel lounge, timestamped. A few lines from the recording, transcribed. Nothing too crazy. Just enough to make Mark ask questions. Enough to light the fuse. Second, to her best friend Claire. The same friend who once looked me dead in the eye and said Amanda was lucky to have a man like me. Subject, you deserve to know the truth. Third, a blind copy. To half the contacts in her work emails autocomplete. Including her mom. Especially her mom. And then I sat back in the silence of my car and waited. The sky was just starting to change, gray leaking into the black. The sun dragging itself up like it didn't even want to be there. At exactly 7:42 a.m., her phone lit up where I'd tossed it onto the passenger seat hours ago, when she was too busy cheating to notice me grab it off the counter. It buzzed once. Then again. And then it lit up like a Christmas tree. The first message came from Claire. What the actual hell, Amanda? Then another from her mom. Call me. Right now. And finally, Mark. 9 a.m. Be ready to explain yourself. I leaned back in my seat, sipped the bitter gas station coffee I'd picked up an hour earlier, and smiled. It had started. The collapse. 10 minutes later, I saw her. Amanda stormed out of our apartment building, still in last night's clothes. Makeup smudged. Hair a mess. Her phone clutched in one hand, her purse bouncing against her side as she power-walked like she was chasing her own lies. Even from a distance, I could hear the panic in her voice. Mark, I swear it's not what it looks like. Someone is trying to ruin me, those photos are fake. Yeah. Keep telling yourself that. She looked feral. Like an animal that chewed off its own leg and couldn't figure out why it was still bleeding. Then she spotted my car. Her eyes locked on the silver Honda. Her face changed. The panic deepened. She darted across the street without thinking, nearly getting clipped by a passing delivery truck. Her heels weren't made for running, but she tried. I didn't flinch. Just rolled the window down enough for her voice to crawl in. Nathan, she screamed. Please, we need to talk. Her voice cracked. Her expression was all over the place. Fear, desperation, confusion. It was like she hadn't expected consequences. Like she thought she could still fix this with a few tears and a soft lie. We can work through this. Please. We can fix it. I didn't say a word. I just hit play. The recording from the hotel came pouring out of the speakers like gasoline. Her voice. That laugh. You're so much better than him, baby. I wasted so much time pretending. Her face shattered. Color drained. Her mouth fell open. She stumbled back like I'd hit her with a baseball bat. I kept my finger on the window switch and slowly rolled it up. Blocking her out. Just like she'd done to me in 1,000 small ways before. She slapped the window with her palm. Screamed something I didn't bother to hear. Nathan, please. You're ruining my life. I smiled. Finally, I said softly, just for me. The truth was out. And she couldn't run from it anymore. I didn't look back as I pulled away from the curb. She was still there in the rearview mirror, pounding on the glass like a scene from a bad breakup movie. Makeup smeared, hair wild, heels digging into the concrete as she screamed after me. But I didn't care. Not anymore. For the first time in 6 years, there was silence. Her voice, her gaslighting, her fake apologies, it was gone. Just the hum of my engine and the cold, clear stillness that follows a storm. I drove without thinking. Didn't matter where. Just needed distance. Somewhere off the radar. Somewhere I could breathe. I ended up in the parking lot of a rundown gas station off the interstate. Parked beneath a broken light, engine still running. I leaned back against the headrest, my mind a blank page. Exhausted. Hollowed out. But alive. Then her name flashed on my phone again. Text after text. Voicemail. More missed calls. I let it sit for a minute. Then I picked it up and opened the messages. The first few were predictable. Nathan, please. You're overreacting. We can talk. I still love you. Ryan meant nothing. It was just one stupid mistake. That word again. Mistake. Like she tripped and landed in a hotel bed by accident. But it didn't stop there. Her desperation was evolving. Fast. I'll quit my job. I'll block him. I'll do anything. I messed up, okay? Please don't throw us away. Then came the twist. The venom. If you don't answer me, I'll tell people you hit me. Don't test me, Nathan. My heart stopped cold. That was the moment I knew Amanda was gone for good. Not just the relationship, her. The version of her I loved, trusted, would have done anything for. That woman was already 6 feet under. What stood in her place was something else. Something dangerous. And I wasn't scared. I was ready. I took a screenshot. Then another. Saved the voicemails. Everything. Backed it all up to a secure cloud. Sent copies to a burner email I'd created when I first started getting suspicious. I wasn't going to let her corner me. Not with lies. Not with fake accusations. She thought she could manipulate me into silence. She thought wrong. Another voicemail came through. I played it. Her voice was frantic now, shaky and uneven, like she was trying to hold herself together and failing. Amanda, sobbing, Nathan, please, don't do this. I'll lose everything. I swear, I'll say whatever I have to. I'll tell them you cheated. That you hurt me. That you're unstable. Just talk to me. Please. I need you. I'll do anything. Just come home. Please. The message cut off in a storm of panicked crying. Or fake crying. At that point, I couldn't tell anymore. Didn't care. But she'd said the most important part out loud. Recorded it. Threats. Blackmail. All right there in her own voice. I stared at the cracked dashboard, listening to her breakdown in real time, and for the first time since all this started, I felt calm. Because now I wasn't just leaving her. I was dismantling her. Piece by piece. I scrolled through my contacts and found a name I hadn't touched in years, Greg Lawson. My old college roommate turned shark of a divorce attorney. Guy owed me one. And if there was anyone I trusted to make this nuclear, it was him. I hit call. Jesus, Nate, Greg said on the third ring, his voice groggy. It's barely 8 a.m. What's going on? I need to file for divorce, I said, flat. Cold. Now. With urgency. There was a pause. Then a low whistle. That bad. Worse. She's cheating. I've got proof. Recordings. Screenshots. And she's already threatening to flip the narrative. Greg didn't miss a beat. Send me everything. Right now. I forwarded the full folder. Photos, messages, voice memos, hotel receipts. It was a kill shot. While I sipped stale coffee and stared out at the cracked asphalt, Greg went to work like a man possessed. Within the hour, he had filed the papers. Emergency injunctions. Financial freezes. Evidence submitted preemptively in court to block any lies Amanda might try to throw at me. It was fast. Cold. Legal perfection. You're going to serve her hard and fast, Greg said. We'll hit her first, and she won't even see it coming. Good. Because Amanda thought if she screamed loud enough, if she played the victim hard enough, she'd come out on top. But she didn't know who she was dealing with anymore. By noon, it was done. The divorce was in motion. Legal barriers were locked in. Her emails and voicemails flagged as evidence of coercion and defamation. We were already scheduling a hearing. The final touch? Greg arranged for Amanda to be served at her office. In front of her co-workers. In front of Mark. Right in the heart of the life she was so desperate to protect. And the cherry on top. Mark had already seen the anonymous photos I sent. He knew. Everyone in that office knew. Her professional world was about to implode, and I wasn't even going to lift a finger. I just had to wait. I sat in my car across the street from her office, watching the entrance like it was a stage, and I already knew the third act was coming. At exactly 12:17 p.m., I got the text from Greg. She's been served. Wish I could have seen it. According to Greg's guy, it was spectacular. Epic meltdown. Screaming. Tears. Accusations flying in every direction. Amanda was in full panic mode, and I hadn't even spoken a word to her since last night. She called me 5 times in the next 10 minutes. Then the texts started flooding in again. You're ruining my life, Nathan. You're a vindictive piece of garbage. Please. I'm sorry. I'll go to therapy. I'll quit my job. I'll cut off Ryan. We can still fix this. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me. And then came the nuclear option. Amanda, I'm pregnant. It's yours. Please, you can't do this to me. I stared at the message. Dead silent. Pregnant. Maybe a few days ago, that would have dropped me to my knees. Made me second-guess everything. Wonder if there was something worth saving. But now? It just felt like one last desperate grenade she pulled without even checking if it was real. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. Didn't matter. I didn't even respond. I deleted the entire thread, blocked her number, blocked her email, and for the first time in years, maybe ever, it was just me. Alone. Free. Quiet. No more yelling across the apartment. No more checking my phone every 10 minutes because something didn't feel right. No more pretending the woman beside me was someone she hadn't been in a long time. Amanda was gone. And all that was left was the wreckage. 2 weeks later, I stood on the edge of the city, looking out at the skyline like it was something unfamiliar. Like I didn't recognize the life I'd lived for so long. The divorce was halfway done. Greg was slicing through her lies like a buzzsaw. She tried everything, emotional pleas, legal traps, even subtle threats, but it didn't work. She lost her job 3 days after being served. Mark didn't even blink. Corporate HR doesn't tend to overlook relationship misconduct, especially when it blows up the whole office. Ryan? Gone. Dumped her the second things got messy. Apparently feeling alive wasn't worth risking his reputation. Amanda tried spinning the story to her friends. Said I was controlling, jealous, toxic, that I couldn't handle a strong woman. Didn't work. Claire leaked the screenshots I sent her. Her own mom called me in tears to say she was ashamed of her daughter. Amanda's social life collapsed just as fast as her career. But winning? It didn't feel like a victory parade. It felt like walking through the ruins of a war zone with blood on your hands, even if none of it was yours. Because here's the part no one tells you about betrayal. It's not just the cheating. Not just the lies. It's that you stayed. Too long. For too many excuses. For too many fake apologies. For someone who was already gone long before they walked out the door. I had loved a ghost. And I had nearly killed myself trying to hold on to it. Now? I was rebuilding. Not as a man who needed revenge. But as someone who had finally stopped begging for love from a person who didn't even respect him. I pulled a photo from my pocket. The last one I had of her. A Polaroid from some long-forgotten road trip. Amanda smiling with the wind in her hair, back when I thought that meant something. I crumpled it and tossed it into the river below. Watched it float for a moment. Then disappear. Gone. Finally. If you're still here, if you're listening to this because you're going through it too, let me say this. Let them go. Let them drown in the mess they made. You're not their lifeboat. You never were. You are the ocean. Deep. Powerful. Unstoppable. And they? They were just a shipwreck. One of many. And you? You've still got miles to go.